Elliotte Friedman joins us right now from Hockey Night in Canada. Fried, the Blue Jackets have lost 5 straight. They're sliding down right now in the standings. What could be happening at Columbus?
Well, one thing I don't believe is going to happen, Adnan, is I don't believe they're going to make a coaching change. It is expected that Jarmo Kekalainen, the general manager, will hold a media conference on Tuesday. The team is off today after their weekend games in Nashville, and he is expected to back the head coach, John Tortorella, and say that they're not going to make a change. And, you know, one of the things is, as things were starting to go a bit sideways for Columbus, there were some rumblings about whether or not they would do it. And I heard that, you know, Kekalainen behind the scenes was standing up steadfast for Tortorella, as he has done consistently over the past couple of years, and saying that it wasn't something he's wanted to do. But as you're showing on the board right now, as the record's gotten worse, there's been speculation he would have no choice. I think you can expect that tomorrow morning he will pour cold water on that and say that's not going to occur. So the math is not great for Columbus, but that's not the road that Kekalainen prefers to go down.
2 games under 500 right now, 6 points out of a potential playoff spot. Moving gears, what's the latest in the status of this year's draft? Obviously, it was much more unusual a year ago.
So basically, Adnan, it comes down to the head and the heart. You're a big movie guy. You've seen lots of movies where it comes down to the head and the heart, and that's kind of where we are right now. The head says that, you know, it's too difficult a thing to move. There are so many issues about the rights of the players. For example, you know, do they get credit for a year of service time towards free agency or salary arbitration? Players drafted from the Canadian Hockey League at age 18, if they're not signed in 2 years, they get to go back in the draft, or they become free agents if they're over 20. How do you handle all those players if they're drafted midway through next year or at the end of next year? And, you know, there were a number of people who told me that working this out was not going to happen between the NHL and the NHLPA. There wasn't the will to have that kind of a negotiation on either side, so the draft would stay where it is. However, since I wrote that last week, I had some people who said, well, you got the head side right, but what you missed out totally was the heart. And the heart is what's best for the game, what is really best for the players and the teams. And there's a significant group of people, from players to agents to teams, that feel very strongly that the draft should be moved for the betterment of everyone involved, to give everybody a better chance to show their worth, and to allow teams to do a better job of scouting these players. Now, so they're pushing back. They're saying we have to find a way. I don't know where this is going to end up right now, Adnan. I still think the odds are against moving it, but I know that the people who feel very strongly that it should move, they aren't giving up hope.
The head and heart conversation is a good one. Also, rounds 2 through 7 hopefully will not take 8 hours. We'll discuss that another time. Yes. This season's trade deadline now a little over a month away. It's crazy to think about, right? Halfway through the season, trade deadline's almost here. Is the deadline going to be especially quiet this season?
It's going to be challenging. There's no doubt about that, Adnan. I think the biggest thing is who's really going to take on money. How many teams are really in a position where they can say, we're going to add to our budget or our salary this year? And if you look at it, there's not a lot of teams out there that are really in position to do that, whether it's a cap situation or a financial situation. I think the border or the 14-day quarantine makes it an even bigger challenge for the Canadian teams. So unless they've got some intel that that's going to change, if they're going to add sooner rather than later. So, but like, I look at teams, I look at Toronto, I look at Philadelphia, I look at Boston. I think those are among the teams that I think are really going to add. Colorado maybe, but not necessarily in a big way, but in a try to be a smart tinkering way. I think those are your teams that are really looking to add, and maybe a few more. And I think other than that, there's going to be a lot of other ones that would rather shed money if they can, as opposed to add. So I think it's going to be a real buyer's market, and I think there will be the potential for a big deal or two, but I just think that the amount of teams really looking to add money, it's not that high.
And now to what I really wanted to discuss with you. Back at the Score, we used to have a clothing deal with Lamanna, which I never thought about until The Sopranos. Robert Loggia's character is Feach Lamanna. And now, clearly, you're paying homage, Freeze, to Henry Hill, Ray Liotta, and Goodfellas with the amount of suits you have over your shoulder. I mean, what kind of clothing deal are they giving you at Rogers here?
Wow.
Well, I'd like to say that not all of those are from this year. The thing I'm proudest about the Madman is they've had to be altered a little bit to be a little bit smaller. So
Yes.
that's the thing I'm happy about. But that's about 6 years worth of suits. And I will say this, some of them look better on me than others. That's
Well, just like the trade deadline, shedding and adding. You've shedded some pounds. Now you're looking to add some more suits. I love where your logic is with this.
that's pretty good. You know what? That's a great catch, and I'm actually blushing a little bit. I'm almost embarrassed to be seen with this many suits behind me. I look like a glutton.
Not at all. Now, he's now known as a real man about town, Elliotte Friedman. Great stuff, Friedge. Appreciate you.
Take care, Adnan. Always great to chat with you, bud.